Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, it is a celebration, if you will, of the life of the recently deceased Chyna. Joanie Laurer passed away earlier this week, just yesterday, actually. We're going to be spending this special edition of Primetime looking back at the life of Chyna.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report, Primetime TV, the longest-running pro wrestling news program in the world, with your hosts, David Hero and Damian Nelson.
Ladies and gentlemen, to a special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime here on Thursday, April 21st, 2016. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero. And David, sad news, of course, reported just yesterday, found out just yesterday, Chyna, Joanie Laurer, formerly of World Wrestling Entertainment, a pioneering soul in professional wrestling, has passed away. Chyna was found on Wednesday afternoon in her California apartment, unresponsive by a friend, and the police have confirmed that Chyna did indeed pass away. The cause, of course, unknown, relatively unimportant at this time as well. And a shocking bit of news coming out of the wrestling world this week, David Hero. And Chyna, somebody who has really seemingly in the last few months, or last few years, had made tremendous efforts in turning her life around. And there is no secret that there have been troubles in her past. She will tell you about those, and they are publicly known. And whether or not that contributed to her passing, the fact is a star is no longer with us, a revolutionary star in the professional wrestling business, Chyna, no longer with us. So what we're going to do on this episode is talk about our times with Chyna. You, of course, were dear friends with Chyna, and talk about our memories of Chyna as well. Several great things happened with her here in Milwaukee on WWE events. So let's first, David Hero, I'll turn it over to you. Talk a little bit about Chyna and how you felt and what you thought when you initially heard the news.
Well, you know, it was last night. I got the phone call around 9 o'clock, and it was I got the phone call that Joanie had passed, and of course you're shocked, you're surprised, and you know we know eventually that day is going to come. We just never know when, and you think you're ready for it, but you realize that you never are. And it was heartbreaking because she was doing so well for a while. I mean, you know, she was the headliner at Blizzard Brawl, let's face it.
Yeah, Chyna, back on December 5th of last year, participating in that event. 2,000
people came out to see her, and she loved it. I mean, she missed her fans, you know, she missed, you know, being a part of the wrestling business, and she had the opportunity to come back, and she did, and she was doing great, and it's just sad that, you know, a woman that meant so much to so many people, men and women alike. I mean, she was a trailblazer, a trendsetter. She made women's wrestling cool.
She did.
You know, I mean, women wanted to be her. They wanted to have her Wonder Woman-like tendencies, her charisma, her charm, her strength, her beauty. You know, guys were in love with her. I mean, there were so many guys had you know, a crush on Chyna, and young girls wanted to be her.
Many didn't want to admit that they had a crush on Chyna, especially when she first came into WWE, because she had some qualities that were not quite female in nature.
She was very masculine.
She was incredibly
when she first made her debut.
Yes.
You know, yeah,
but let's remember that debut, though. Remember what she did. She came in and shook Marlena like a Barbie doll, like a rag doll. I thought Marlena's neck was broken, where she came. It was on an episode of Raw from, I think, Stockton, California, I believe. And she just destroyed and mutilated Marlena, and then went into that program with those two, which was a great introduction.
And then look what she did. I mean, she transformed from, like, the big, heavy bodyguard to, you know, a glamorous glamazon. Before Beth Phoenix, she was the glamazon.
Featured on the cover of Playboy at least once.
Twice, yeah, at least once on many magazine covers. She was beating up men in the ring. She beat Jeff Jarrett.
She did beat Jeff Jarrett, I believe, for the Intercontinental Championship, right?
It was a good housekeeping match, and you know, she could go toe to toe with anybody, and the guys had no problem putting her over.
Yeah.
I mean, they bumped for her.
She was respectable. She was also, I believe, the first female entrant into the Royal Rumble back in, was it 99, 98-ish?
Yeah, it was around there.
But, you know, let's not forget about her time when she was aligned with Triple H. And real life and on television.
Yeah, and that's what made her, was when she was with DX, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. And just the stuff she did, and she was the center of attention and sometimes the butt of the jokes. Okay?
I'd rather be in China.
Yeah, and you know, it's just that she had it, and she loved the wrestling business. You know, one of the very first times I ever met her was in 1998 or 99. It was at a house show in Milwaukee, and we were just chatting and talking and whatever else, blah blah blah. And you know, that's back when the Triple H and Chyna 2-packs came out. It was her first action figure. I told her I had my store, and she's like, "Well, if you get any extras, can you send them to me?" And I did. And then I saw her maybe 8 or 9 months later in Alabama after she had come back from getting her augmentations. Enhancements. And
Plural?
yeah. and you know, so I saw her in Birmingham, and I was down there with cousin Jack, and she comes to me, "Oh my God, how are you? What do you think?" And I was like, "How about that?" I mean, it's like, what do you say? I mean, yeah. And she was just so sweet and loving and caring, and she was to people she didn't have to be, because she was a main event top star. And she could have walked past everybody. She could have had her nose in the air, and she didn't do it. And she loved everyone, and she appreciated her fan base. And she was always amazing to me.
Now, you know, the first time I had the opportunity to meet Chyna in person was indeed at Blizzard Brawl last December, and I was taken aback by not only how big a star she clearly was, not because of how she acted, but just seeing her made me realize how huge a star Chyna was, but also she seemed so content, so humble, so polite, and quite frankly, just so sweet at that event that it seemed all was well in her world.
Well, you know what was crazy is she almost didn't make it to Blizzard Brawl, because as you know, 2 nights before the event, I get a phone call from her manager, Anthony. He's like, "Hey dude, just so you know, something came up, I can't make it to Milwaukee."
He couldn't make it.
He couldn't. But the deal was, if he's not there, she's not coming. And I'm like, "Well, what does this mean for me?" He's like, "Oh, bro, don't worry. She loves you. She says that she'll be there. She's not going to miss your show. She knows you. She trusts you, and she knows Al Snow's going to be there, and you guys will take good care of her." And she showed up, and it was the first event she had done by herself, without management. And you were there.
I was there.
She was great. I mean.
And well behaved. Wasn't at the after party. Never had a drink in her hand. None of that.
Well, she was at the party, but she
Briefly.
ate.
She had dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, she hung out with everybody, and you know, she did her thing and took pictures and signed autographs to everybody in the back. I mean, if you look on Facebook locally, every picture with Chyna seems like they were at Blizzard Brawl.
Yeah.
Which to me means the world, because that's what that event is about: is to meet your heroes and your icons and the legends, and. It's just not fair, because a woman of her caliber, of her main event level, of her star power, to die alone in a 1-bedroom apartment in California is disturbing.
Folks, we're going to take a time out. When we come back, we are going to talk more about the life of Joni Chyna Lauer.
At Gruber Law Offices, we understand that when you've been injured, life is tough. That's why we offer so many services for free. First call, free. First consultation, free. Stuck at home or in the hospital? We'll come to you for free. We'll deal with the insurance company for you and get you the help you need. Call Gruber Law Offices now. We don't get paid until you do, and your first consultation is always free.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a primetime special edition here on Thursday, April 21st, 2016. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero. We've been talking about the unfortunate passing of Joni Lauer, of course known as former WWE star Chyna, the 9th wonder of the world, passing away at the age of 45 just yesterday. And we've been talking about our memories, our thoughts of Chyna, but a lot of other people, David Hero, have chimed in as to their thoughts and their memories of Chyna as well. And I'm going to preface what I'm about to say with this. You know, it's a lot of times in this business, the wrestling business, there are people that you acknowledge, and there are people that you don't acknowledge. There are people that exist, and there are people that coexist. And some people have been saying that it is, I guess, quote-unquote grandstanding, if you will, that both Triple H and Stephanie McMahon have put out comments about the passing of Chyna, and I think it's worth discussing, not because I want to grandstand it, but the fact of the matter is she was substantial in this business. Whether there's bad blood or not, it is not only their responsibility, but I believe the heartfelt actual words of a Triple H and a Stephanie McMahon to say what they said about her being the pioneering star that she was in this business.
I don't think it's authentic.
Okay.
I don't. Simply because
let me help you with this. Things were not on good terms between Triple H and Chyna at all.
Stephanie was the other woman.
Absolutely.
Okay.
During and after.
And let's face it, Stephanie has what Chyna wanted. Mm-hmm. She wanted Hunter. She wanted the family. Mm-hmm. Stephanie has all that. Mm-hmm. There was no way they were ever going to do business while she's alive. If they don't say the things they said right now, they get public backlash for not acknowledging it.
But here's the thing, and I think there's a small sect of fans who are giving that backlash. Had they said nothing, I think they would get a similar amount of backlash. So it was a lose-lose situation.
And for someone that is considered a WWE apologist,
that's you.
I don't think it's. I'm sure Hunter feels something. Because how can you not?
If you read both of their, exactly, but if you read both of the comments that both Triple H and Stephanie put out, they didn't say anything about their personal feelings about her.
No.
They simply said her contributions to the business.
Standpoint.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I think that's responsible. I think that is authentic
what I didn't like
from a company standpoint.
The very first tweet about it wasn't from WWE. It was from Jim Ross that they retweeted.
Was it really?
Yes.
That's uncharacteristic.
Exactly. I think when she died, when they learned of it, it was in, oh, how do we handle this? Because we weren't ready for this right now. And, you know, let's be honest, X-Pac is a friend of mine. It's a friend of the show. It's a friend of yours. Lots of bad blood there.
Yeah, public bad blood.
You know.
Some of that surfaced at WrestleMania, to be honest with you.
And, you know, there's a lot of whatever happened between the two of them, happened between the two of them. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
None of us were there. They were there, not us. So, of course, he's best friends with Triple H, married to Stephanie. So that window of her ever going back to WWE to get that glory or that Hall of Fame moment or whatever was never going to happen. There is no way.
I think all parties.
There is no way WWE would say, here's a live mic at the Hall of Fame.
But all parties bear some of the responsibility for that.
Absolutely.
All parties.
All of them.
But be that as it may, I think it was authentic from a company standpoint. And what a lot of people don't realize when these things happen are there are facts that need to be checked. So whether WWE was right or wrong in the way they handled their communication of this information, because even as of now, as if we tape this on Thursday afternoon, they're still saying that, it's reports, that they're saddened by the reports of Chyna's passing. So not that this hasn't happened and it's not a real story, but perhaps that was
well, you and I knew
they
about
were trying to figure out.
Reports ever made online.
That is true. That is true.
And what did I say? I don't want to break this.
We sat on it until TMZ broke the story, and then we released our video on it.
So, much like Luna Vachon, Chyna's a woman that deserves to go out a certain way.
But here's an opportunity, I think, for all the fans out there, and we appreciate, on the breaking news story on our YouTube channel, the comments that you guys have left and the feedback that you've provided. But I think it's an opportunity to realize one thing that a lot of times a lot of us as fans forget is that while we talk about these celebrities, these stars, these superstars, these wrestlers, these performers, we sometimes forget that they are also human beings. Human beings that have feelings just like all of us, human beings that will at one point, much like all of us, reach their demise. And I think you have to take into consideration the fun you may be having with your opinions and your interaction with them while they're here, while understanding that that day will come where they won't be here any longer. And I think regardless of whether it's a wrestling star, a family member, anybody, a lot of times you really don't appreciate the contribution someone has made to this world until they are gone. You don't know what you have till you don't have it anymore.
The one thing that I won't put up with that just infuriates me is for the people that say, oh, she was another drugged out pro wrestler that died. Yeah, she had her demons. There's no question. We all have
Everybody.
our vices, our demons, whatever it may be. Just because she did her porn career,
Right.
she did her addictive personality, doesn't mean that that's how she wanted it to be.
Yeah.
You know? So to sit there and to beat her up and to throw stones and to call names, don't. She did it to her. She beat herself up enough. She was one of the most misunderstood and tortured souls I'd ever been around.
And let's not forget, the official reason for her passing is not out yet.
No,
so anything
it's
is
not.
speculation. I mean, granted, anything is speculation at this point.
Right.
But David, let's end this with your all-time favorite memory of the ninth wonder of the world, Chyna.
It was probably the last time I saw her. It was at Blizzard Brawl.
Yeah?
And just the hug she gave me and how happy she was. And then when the show was over and we're all in the back and it's Al and it's the Headbangers and Booker T and Tommy Dreamer and Abyss, and everybody was just happy to see her because she is iconic.
Yeah.
Anyone that watched wrestling in the 90s knew who Chyna was. She was right up there with the NWO and DX and Austin 316.
Yeah. Do you remember the turn at WrestleMania 15, her and Triple H, I think? Or was it Triple H? It was her and Triple H against X-Pac, wasn't it? Or against the Outlaws?
It was, yeah, I do remember that where they joined the corporation.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. It was a great turn.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think, quite frankly, Triple H would have been Triple H early on without Chyna.
She was a legit star.
Yeah.
People were drawn to her. You had never seen anything like her
Nope.
ever before.
And you wondered, what was she?
Well,
Not meaning man or female, but just what
yeah.
was this specimen?
I mean, and if you watch the match with her and Jeff Jarrett, the Good Housekeeping match, when
so much backstory to that match, by the way.
right, when she beat Jeff Jarrett, and when you watch her grab that belt and pick it up and look at it, she knew she did something
The
special.
first female, and I believe only female intercontinental
But
champion
watch
in
that
history.
match, and watch the finish, and watch how she celebrated.
I believe it was a fall pay-per-view of 97 or 99.
It was when Jeff
September.
Jarrett was leaving the company to go to WCW.
He got paid handily for that matchup, didn't
Yes,
he?
he did. Yes, he did.
Well, folks, again, very, very sad news. We appreciate your feedback and your comments that we've gotten so far. We also appreciate you joining us here for the special edition of Primetime here on Fight TV and, of course, on our YouTube channel as well. You can get more of David's perspective on the life of Joni Chyna Lauer right now at PWRshow.com in a very special DWHS that's posted there to our website. So, David, we're back again tomorrow with Feedback Friday and then Saturday with Primetime. Of course, on Primetime, we're going to take more time to honor and celebrate the life of Chyna. So for David Hero, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for joining us here in this special edition of Primetime TV.